Hello everyone and welcome to Hazimat Tech channel. In the last video we have seen what are variables and how to assign values to them. We've also seen how to assign a result of an operation to a variable. Today we will see how to assign functions results to a variable. You are already familiar with the print function. However, print is not a good example to use in today's video. What we want is to have a function that returns a result, and then we assign that result to a variable that we can use in different places in our code when needed, without having to call the function to calculate the result again each time. But print doesn't return a value, or to be more precise, returns none. It will print out the arguments given to it to the screen, but will not return a result. You will understand more this difference between functions later when you learn data types and functions. So today we will use another built-in function in Python, which is the length function. This is a description of the Python built-in length function from docs.python.org, which is, by the way, a very good source of documentation for Python. It is the official documentation website for Python, maintained by the Python Software Foundation. It serves as a comprehensive resource for learning about Python, its syntax, standard library modules, and best practices. Let's read the definition. Length function returns the length, the number of items of an object. The argument may be a sequence such as a string, bytes, tuple, list, or range, or a collection such as a dictionary, set, or frozen set. For now we will use a string data type and ignore the other data types and structures since we didn't see and learn them yet. And using this length function we want to do something similar to this. In our case we will replace our function by length function, give it some arguments between the parentheses. As we've said, it will be a string or a set of characters. Once this function executes and returns a result, we will then assign this result to a variable. And when you will start writing more code in Python or any other programming language, you will do this a lot. When you will see the benefit of assigning functions results to variables, you will do it all the time without too much thinking. Let's write some code now and see some examples. I will give you an idea about the benefit of assigning functions outputs to variables. Okay, so I have opened IDLE, our integrated development environment, and I'm going to open a file, a .py file. I have already created it, so I will open it from here. Okay, this one. I have named this file as assign function output.py, so I will open it. And I have already added this code here. So this is the length function, and between the parentheses I've written this sentence, this short sentence or a string, hi there. So if I run the module now from here, nothing will happen. Let's go back to our code. So why we didn't see anything when we run our module? It's because the length function will calculate the length of this string, but will not print the result to the screen. It's not like the print function we've seen in the last video. So this length function will calculate how many elements are in this string, and then it will store the value in memory. But if we want to see this value, we have to use print to see the result in our screen. So we will use print function here. We'll open a parenthesis, and inside the parenthesis we will type exactly the same function that we've used before. So okay, I could have just copy it, but okay, it's not a problem. And we close the parenthesis. Okay, there is a second parenthesis missing here, and here we go. We can run our module again. Okay, yes, save, and see the output is 9. Now the result returned by the length function is printed out to our screen. It is 9 because simply there are 9 characters here, so we can count it 1, 2. Space is also counted as a character, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that's it. It's 9. Now, if you are still curious and want to know why we didn't use the print function in this video, what will happen if we use the print function and assign its result to a variable? We can do it here. So if we use print instead of length function, I will just copy the same message here, but we'll use the print instead of length. And then if we print the result returned by the print function, okay, here it will be print. In fact, we want to see if there is a result returned by the print function, similar to the one we've just seen with the length function. So we can comment out this section here. If you want to comment out some lines of code when you run your code, you can add the pound sign or hash sign here. And now these are considered as comments and will not be executed, so only these two last lines will be executed. So run our module again and see what will happen. Okay, go to the other window for the result, and you can see that okay, this is the print. Okay, let's move the to see what happened here. Okay, yes. Yeah, so this first high there is the result of the first print statement here, and the second one is this one, because we called the print function a second time, so it will print the same function again. And this none is the result of the final print statement here. Sorry about this, and it will be none. So none means nothing is returned in Python. We will see this, it's considered a data type, and we will see it in more details in the future videos. So this is just like an explanation why I didn't use print function in today's video. We cannot assign none, since we cannot assign its output to a variable since it has no output. So let's go back to our length function. Okay, we can close this, and I will delete this print statements. Let's remove these pound signs, and okay, let's run again our module just to see what we have done previously. So it's returning the value 9. So what we want to do is we want to assign this value returned by the length function to a variable. So how to do it? We will just have to create a variable, and as we have seen in the last video, if you want to create a variable, we start by giving it a name. So for example, we can give it message length, since it will calculate the length of the message that we will write. And this is the assignment operator, and then we will assign to it the result of the length function, and between the parentheses we will type in our message again here, there, and close the parentheses. So now we have a variable. This variable will store the result returned by the length function, and each time we will need to have this result in our code later, we will just have to call this variable because it will already store the value of the output, and we will not have to call the length function again. So now we can print also this variable. So last time we have seen that we have used print to print out strings or a set of characters, but in fact you can use print function to print any other object in Python or other data types. Let's not focus on objects now because we still didn't see it in detail, so we will cover it later. So in this case we will print a variable, and the print function will convert the value of this variable into a string, and then it will print it out to our string. So let's print our variable here. We close the parentheses, and okay, I think we can remove this print statement now. We don't need it. We just keep this function, of course, here, and then we assign it to variable in the second step, and then print the result. So let's run, and here we see also the result printed out in our screen. It's 9. Now we can change our print message. We can use a more elaborate message. So instead of just printing the value of the function result, we can add some text to explain what is this value. For example, we can add, okay, I will just copy the message and paste. For example, we can add this text before printing the value. So it will be the length of the message that you've typed is, and then we can add a second argument, but we just have to separate it with a comma. And here we can just add the variable name, okay, and close the parenthesis, run again. Okay, so now we have a more explanatory message in addition to the value. So this is just an example of how we can use the output of a function as a variable, and then we use it further in our code. So imagine that you have more statements in your code or program, and I think if we see this, you will have a clear idea why using variable instead of calling the function each time is much better. So I will just add a small program here, 4 other lines of code, but please for now just ignore these keywords here in orange, the if and elif. These are if and else if blocks. We will see them in the future videos. I just wanted to give you an example of code relatively long, just instead of using just one print statement, and show you how using a variable is useful in these cases. Don't worry too much about this program. In fact, what it's doing is just it is checking the length, the message length. This is our variable, and compare it to a limit, for example 10. So if this value of our variable will be greater than this limit of 10, it will print out a message. If it's smaller or equal to 10, it will print a different message. That's all what this program is doing. But the most important thing that I want you to notice here is that we are using the variable here multiple times in different locations in our code, here and here also. So imagine if we don't use variable, we'll have to call the function, this function here, length, and inside the parentheses we need to provide the argument and put it in each statement of the code, here and then Here also, instead of using the variable, we will have to call the length function again, and inside it the argument, and here we'll have to do the same thing. So this will not be very practical. And what will happen also if we want to test a different message, not this one? For example, let's we want to test another message, not hi there. So in this case, we will just have to change it here in the beginning of our program, and then the value of our variable will change and will be used in the remaining part of our program. So for example, instead of hi there, we will add another message. How are you doing? So now we have a little bit longer message, and it's for sure more than 10 characters. So we should see a different message. And I just noticed that we didn't see the result for the first message, so just see it first and see what our code here is doing. So I will run the module and see. Okay, there is some mistake here, and we need to add the double quotations, and run again, save, and see the result. And you see here that the length of the message that you've typed is 9, but we have also this new message. Your message is accepted, because it printed this message under this condition. The message length is smaller than 10. So what will happen if we use a longer message? So we'll add this again. How are you doing? And run again our code and see the result. And now we have a different message here printed. Your message is longer than the maximum limit. So I just want you to understand and to notice by yourself that if we didn't have a variable here, we should have called each time the length function here and here also, and each time we would have to change this message in different locations, here and here, whenever we call the length function. But using a variable, we will have to change the message or the argument just once, and then we can use the value of the variable in the remaining part of our program. So I hope this video was helpful for you to understand how you can assign functions outputs to variables. Take care and see you in the next videos.